Hello everyone, I'm very happy to continue sharing with you the story of the single mother Hoài Ka. If you want Hoài Ka to regain her memory, please leave a like and follow me to keep accompanying me. Hung looked at Hoài Ka's face, sitting beside him exhausted, but her eyes still radiated an unusual determination. He could feel the sense of lostness in her, a deep void that she couldn't fill on her own. He didn't blame her. In recent days, he had seen her live with hazy memories, fragmented pieces of recollections that she tried to piece together, but most of them disappeared the moment she touched them. This trip to the waterfall, where all three of them, he, Hoài Ka, and Tony, once had a happy day together, was the only chance for Hoài Ka to find back the memories that had been hidden. Hung had heard from Mrs. Bay that this waterfall might be the place to help Hoài Ka remember something, maybe a flash of memory or a feeling that felt familiar. He only knew that if there was any place she could find herself again, it was here. Hung gently took Hoài Ka's hand. His hand was warm, steady, as if wanting to transfer a bit of courage to her. The two of them quietly left the small house, following the dirt road that led into the forest. The path wasn't new, but for Hoài Ka, it felt like an entirely unfamiliar journey. On both sides were dense bushes, tall grass reaching high, blocking the way. The chirping of birds in the distance sounded like a background music to their journey back to the past. She watched the last rays of sunlight filtering through the trees, casting sparkling spots of light on the ground. Hung knew she was starting to sense something vague in the air, a familiarity she couldn't name. He tried to smile, but it only deepened the worry in his heart. "Do you feel anything?" Hung asked, his voice gentle but unable to hide his unease. Hoài Ka was silent for a moment, then softly shook her head. "No, but there's something. Like I've been here before." Hung sighed and gently held her hand. "That feeling is very important. I believe you will remember little by little." Hung led Hoài Ka along the trail leading to the waterfall. The air in the forest was quite cold, but Hoài Ka felt nothing but an emptiness in her heart. Her eyes were lost in the rustling branches, the clouds floating slowly. Hung walked ahead, not rushing, but each of his steps felt heavy. He hoped that every step they took would bring them closer to Hoài Ka's memories. As they rounded a bend, the waterfall suddenly appeared before them. The white water cascaded down from a height of about 10 meters, the sound of the rushing water echoing through the air. Hoài Ka stopped, her eyes widening, and a strange sensation washed over her, a feeling that was familiar, yet hazy. She couldn't say anything, just stood there staring at the waterfall, her gaze slowly becoming unfocused, as if searching for something long forgotten. Hung turned back to look at her, his voice soft but filled with concern. "Do you remember? This is where the three of us came. Tony played in the water all morning, and you said you were afraid of slipping." A spark suddenly flashed in her eyes, like a piece of memory passing through. "I feel like I've been here. It's so familiar, but I can't quite place it." Hung looked at her, his heart tightening. He knew this was a sign, a small step, but it meant that Hoài Ka was starting to remember. He smiled gently, not saying anything more, just standing there beside her, waiting. An unclear, gentle feeling, yet full of strength, enveloped her. It was hard for her to put into words, but her heart seemed to be starting to recognize what her mind was slowly recovering. The fragmented memories she had struggled to recall now appeared, though only faintly. But each small piece made her feel like there was a path opening before her, even though she couldn't see the whole road yet. Hung stood next to her, not rushing, not pushing. He knew that each step Hoai-ka took required time for her to regain balance in her mind. He wasn't sure if her memories would fully return, but he couldn't give up. He had promised himself he would never let her be alone in this journey, and he would keep that promise no matter how far it took him. But just as she reached for that memory, it vanished like mist. Hoai-ka raised her hand to her forehead, her eyes closing as she tried to hold on to what had just flickered. She gently shook her head, a feeling of emptiness rising in her chest. Hung looked at her silently. He just stood there quietly, allowing her to feel everything. He knew this wouldn't be easy, but he also believed that love and patience would be the key to unlocking the doors to her past. Hoai-ka didn't need to remember everything right away. As long as she could remember a little, just a little, that would be enough. "You'll remember," Hung whispered, his voice warm and full of resolve. Hoai-ka looked into Hung's eyes, and for the first time she saw something different there. Not just worry or hope, but a deep emotion she had never recognized before. She couldn't name the feeling, but it was truly there, right here in this moment. They both stood silently listening to the sound of the water falling from the waterfall, and perhaps in that moment, the entire world paused. Hoai-ka no longer felt the emptiness in her heart. Instead, there was a warmth she had never felt before. She didn't need to remember everything right away, but the presence of Hung, the love he had for her, was enough to make her feel like she had a place to return to. "After all these years, I still have you," Hoai-ka said softly, her voice gentle but heavy with meaning. Hung smiled, taking her hand. "And I'll always be here no matter what happens." As they approached the waterfall, the sound of the water grew louder, breaking into waves of white foam, like the emotional waves Hoai-ka had been struggling with. Hung stopped standing beside her, gazing at the waterfall. He could feel the change in her. The initial steps no longer felt unfamiliar. Hoai-ka stood there, her eyes no longer clouded, but starting to see more clearly familiar feelings, beginning to emerge more distinctly in her mind. It seemed that the sound of the rushing water, the soft breeze brushing against her skin, had awakened a part of her memory that she had been unable to reach for a long time. Hung tightened his grip on Hoai-ka's hand, not wanting her to lose the familiar sensations she was now experiencing. He didn't say anything, just stood silently beside her, allowing her to feel whatever she could. Hoai-ka needed time, and he knew that no matter what, he would be there with her until everything became clear. A few minutes passed in silence. The sound of the water falling from the waterfall, the wind rustling through the leaves, and the stillness between them. Hoai-ka felt something shifting inside her. She couldn't remember everything immediately, but memories were beginning to return, even if only in fragments. And each fragment of memory contained a part of the love, a part of the happiness that she and Hung had shared. Those feelings still lived in her, even though she might not be able to name them right now. Hoai-ka looked into Hung's eyes, and in that moment, she felt the deep affection he had for her. She no longer felt like a lonely person in this vast world. Hung had always been by her side as a friend, a companion, and now he was the one she loved. They both stood there quietly watching the waterfall with a sense of calm and peace. Hoai-ka knew that whether her memories returned slowly or incompletely, she wouldn't have to face it alone. Hùng would always be by her side, like a steady source of strength, always ready to help her through any difficulty. Thank you, Hùng Hoài, Ka said softly, her voice gentle but full of emotion. Thank you for always believing in me. Hùng smiled and didn't need to say anything more. He just silently held her hand, as if to say that he had always been and would always be there for her, not just in this journey of regaining her memories, but in every step of her life ahead. They both looked at each other, no words necessary. Love, patience, and trust were enough to create an invisible strength that would help them overcome any challenge. And from here, they would rebuild everything together, piece by piece, every small memory, until everything was restored, or perhaps even better. With a soft smile, Hoài Ka and Hùng walked out of the forest together, moving toward the future with newfound hope.
Hoài Ca nhìn vào mắt Hùng, và trong khoảnh khắc đó, cô cảm nhận được tình cảm sâu đậm mà anh dành cho mình. Cô không còn cảm thấy mình là một người cô đơn trong thế giới rộng lớn này nữa. Hùng đã luôn ở bên cô như một người bạn, một người đồng hành. Và giờ đây, anh là người yêu, người cô yêu thương. Cả hai đứng đó lặng lẽ nhìn về phía thác nước với một cảm giác nhẹ nhàng, bình yên. Hoài Ca biết rằng dù ký ức của cô có quay lại chậm chạp hay không đầy đủ, cô sẽ không phải đối mặt với nó một mình. Sẽ luôn ở bên như một nguồn sức mạnh vững chắc, luôn sẵn sàng giúp cô vượt qua mọi khó khăn. Cảm ơn anh, Hùng, Hoài Ca nói, giọng cô nhẹ nhàng nhưng chứa đầy cảm xúc. Cảm ơn vì đã luôn tin tưởng em. Hùng cảm ơn, mỉm cười không nói gì thêm. Anh chỉ lặng lẽ nắm tay cô như thể nói rằng anh sẽ luôn ở và chia sẻ bên cạnh cô. Không chỉ trong cuộc hành trình tìm lại ký ức, mà còn trong mọi bước đi tiếp theo của cuộc đời, cả hai quay lại nhìn nhau, không cần nói thêm bất cứ lời nào. Tình yêu, sự kiên nhẫn và niềm tin đã đủ để tạo sức mạnh vô hình giúp họ vượt qua mọi thử thách, và từ đây họ sẽ cùng nhau xây dựng lại mọi thứ từng chút một, từng ký ức nhỏ nhoi cho đến khi mọi thứ trở lại như cũ, hoặc thậm chí là tốt đẹp hơn với một nụ cười nhẹ nhàng. Hoài Ca và Hùng cùng nhau bước ra khỏi rừng, tiến về phía tương lai với niềm hy vọng mới.